Welcome to our world. Won't you come on in? Waiting just for you. Welcome to our world.
So what I want to talk about today is the city of brotherly love, and more specifically, the city of brotherly love's sports teams. Okay.
Okay. Yep.
And mostly my gripes about the sports teams. However,
Okay.
I want to make it clear, and also I'm sick right now, so if my voice sounds weird, that's why. If I have to cough in the middle, I apologize.
It got really bright in here all of a
I know
sudden.
it did. This must be the correct topic that we're supposed to be discussing. So I want to make it clear, first of all, Philadelphia is one of the most beautiful cities. It is historical. It has so much culture. And anytime, because obviously, well, you're from Lansdale originally, which is just outside of Philly.
Yeah, less than half an hour.
I went to Villanova, right outside Philly.
Right.
I lived in Philly for, part of my senior year, whatever. Anyway, we have experience with the area.
Yeah, the
okay?
area. Yeah.
And obviously, Eric lives outside Philly right now, and I still have friends that live there. Anyway, my first thing here is just with Philadelphia in general, because obviously we're in Florida now. And since I've moved here, anytime I say that like I'm from, because when people ask you, when you say you're from Pennsylvania and you're anywhere in the country, you're anywhere and you say you're from Pennsylvania, and people will say like, oh, which part? I'll say the Philly side, even, right?
Mm-hmm.
The right side, the correct side, the Philadelphia
Yeah.
side. Okay, that's how I always say it. And then they'll be like, oh, Philly. I'm like, oh, did you not like it when you visited?
Mm-hmm.
And they'll say, oh, I've never been there. I just heard it's awful. And I'm like, this is the problem. Yep. This is the problem with people. If you... I don't know why this gets me so angry. And this is obviously not an airing of grievances, as I said already what the topic of this conversation is. But that makes me so angry because Philadelphia itself it's where our country like began with like the convention and everything. It just blows my mind that people don't have more respect for Philadelphia. And anyway, okay. So that's just
it's hard to believe. It's hard to believe.
A little complaint there. Okay. But so I wanted to begin this because we're doing sports teams specifically. I wanted to begin this by clarifying what happened with the Santa Claus game. Okay.
Okay.
Because you hear, oh, Philly, ugh, gross. Mm-hmm. That's awful. Mm-hmm. And then you also hear, didn't you guys throw snowballs at Santa? Just look it up. Look it up. I'm on Wikipedia right now.
Right.
Okay,
so explain
what happened. Okay.
So explain what the general understanding is, what people think happened versus what happened.
What people think is I don't know, because anytime people say that, they're like, didn't you guys just throw snowballs at Santa? Mm-hmm. And then I'm like, well, yeah, but do you understand the context of what happened? Mm-hmm. Like, no, you threw snowballs at Santa. Like, that's all you need to know. And it's like, no, that's not even really what happened.
You're going to go into a lot more detail, but I mean, first off, this was not the real Santa Claus.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. To clarify, okay. No, he would never be caught dead anywhere.
Yeah.
Near
in Philadelphia.
In Philadelphia. Ugh, gross.
Yeah.
Okay. So to clarify, all right, this was in during the 1968 season of football of the NFL. Okay. Game between the Vikings and the Eagles. Per usual, the Eagles were having an awful season. And so the fans were upset already. There was a snowstorm the night before this game. So it was just not a great situation at all. So the snowstorm from the previous night prevented the Santa Claus that the Eagles had booked for the halftime Christmas pageant, LOL, Christmas pageant, from arriving at the game, okay? So Santa Claus, that was bugs. Why are you laughing?
I'm thinking about what the Eagles' record was at that point.
It was they were 2-11.
Okay, so that kind of
I said that already.
Okay. But I guess the point is the fans were already not in a great mood.
No, they were in an awful mood
because Philadelphia fans understand sports. I mean, anyone I would hope understands that a 2-11 record is not good.
Is awful,
but they understand what's behind that.
Yes.
Like dumb decisions.
Which I want to get into that too.
Right.
Like right after I tell this. So the snowstorm prevented the original Santa Claus, the original professional Santa Claus that was supposed to be there for the Christmas pageant. Okay. So the Eagles entertainment director, he needed someone to play Santa Claus during the halftime Christmas pageant. And so he picked out Frank Olivo, if that's how you say his name, a 20-year-old fan who was dressed as Santa Claus to play the role. He literally just plucks out someone from the crowd that's in a Santa Claus outfit. Okay? I will say Olivo, who regularly attended Eagles games, would always dress as Santa Claus for the last regular season game of the year. So he was a regular. Mm-hmm. He did this every year, but, cool. He was not who was supposed to be on the field at that time. Okay? So,
because the regular professional Santa Claus had a shield and armor to protect himself when the snowballs were thrown.
So Olivo comes onto Franklin Field.
I think the presents came
to the song "Here Comes Santa Claus" alongside a 50-piece band and Eagles cheerleaders dressed as elves. This is a whole thing, okay? Mm-hmm. He was supposed to appear on a large Christmas float featuring 8 life-size fiberglass reindeer. Did you know all this stuff? I didn't even know all this.
No, this
is
much
detail.
This is interesting.
So it was supposed to be a large float with the life-size fiberglass reindeer, but the float got stuck in the mud. Okay, So Olivo,
this was an analogy for the way the season went.
I know, and so I'm just saying, if you're an Eagles fan, mm-hmm. you think of you're so annoyed with the season, with how cold it is. There's snow. You're losing the game. Like you're so annoyed, and you're like, well, at least we'll get to see Santa and his reindeer.
Okay? Yeah.
So anyway, he was forced to appear in the Christmas pageant on foot. So he just walks out onto the snowy field. It gets worse, okay? This is going to be like half the episode. It's just me telling this story.
So far, I just want to point. I know you're not finished, but so far, I don't think this is helping.
Okay, so in place, I can't even get this out. In place of carrying, I hope you can understand what I'm saying when I re-record. Or when I re-listen, in place of carrying a Santa sack, Olivo carried an equipment bag filled. An equipment bag filled with soggy towels. Okay, so I'm just saying this was not an ideal situation, to say the least, okay? A Philly sports talk radio host described the incident as, quote, a bad game. It's a cold game. The fans are sitting their rear ends in snow. And here comes this lousy little Santa running down the field, okay? Okay. And then Olivo's cousin also commented on this and said, Olivo comes out, the PA announcer goes through this big thing. Here comes Santa Claus. Let's give Santa Claus a rousing welcome. Philadelphia welcome. And, well, all hell broke loose. So he begins his appearance by throwing candy canes to the fans. But when he reached the end zone, fans started booing and throwing snowballs at him. They then soon started throwing other projectiles, including beer bottles and hoagies at him. Maybe this isn't helping my point. I don't know.
I hope I'm waiting for the punchline that's going to go like the other direction here.
He suspects that he was hit with more than 100 snowballs during his appearance. So many. I can't do this. I'm crying. So many snowballs were. Okay. So many snowballs were thrown at Olivo that is fake white. his fake white eyebrows, which were part of the costume, were knocked off.
At least they had good aim.
Okay. I'm sorry. I'm fine. However, he took the pelting in jest, shouting at one fan, "You're not getting anything for Christmas." I think that this is perfect because I think that in itself is the punchline. To follow that up, Olivo later stated that he understood why fans were frustrated and that fans were not booing him, but the disappointing season. And furthermore, there is no video evidence of Eagles fans throwing snowballs at Olivo. Okay. And then later, the Eagles public relations director at the time said that Olivo, quote, was the worst looking Santa I'd ever seen. Bad suit, scraggly beard. I'm not sure whether he was drunk, but he appeared to be. However, Olivo contests that his costume was high quality and he was not drunk, but conceded his fake beard was poor quality. Okay. Oh, man. Anyway, so my point, and obviously I read most of that like for the laugh factor because that is hilarious. Okay. Yeah. My point here is it's not like people from Philadelphia or Philly sports fans are just huge jerks that are like, get off my lawn and Santa, throwing snowballs at Santa and all that stuff. And even Santa, the backup Santa himself, wasn't mad about it. He was like, I get it because we are awful.
He was a fan.
And that's what I mean. So when people say, you're from Philly, ew, don't you guys throw snowballs at Santa? Get that out of here.
You know what I take from this? And maybe this is your point, or maybe it's part of your point.
Yes.
Philadelphia fans have high standards, have high standards, right? So, yeah, they were frustrated about the game, but they were like, this Santa Claus sucks. This Santa Claus is really bad, right?
Yes.
So we're going to throw snowballs at him.
Okay, I'm going to stop you right there. But no, I liked where you started with that, which is that we have high standards.
Oh, exactly.
And we care. As Philadelphia sports fans, we actually care. We're not like, and this goes, and just generally still talking about like Philadelphia sports teams. I know I told you this this was last year when I was at a bar with my friend watching, the Eagles game was on the next day. Anyway, the bartender made the point of saying like, any Eagles fans that he's met, because we're in Florida, he's met a lot of Eagles fans, but they always know their stuff. They can tell you things about the team. And he used this example specifically. I did not mention this. He used the example of Cowboys fans. Cowboys fans, maybe they can name you the quarterback. Maybe a wide receiver.
And they have a pretty star.
Yeah, and the pretty star. But the majority, and this was his words, the majority of like Cowboys fans that he interacted with, they were just bandwagon fans, just along for the ride. And so I think that people just don't give like Philadelphia sports teams and fans the respect that they deserve for being knowledgeable about their team and like actually caring about their teams.
Yep.
And it's really frustrating.
It's like the movie Invincible when he's talking to his father, the guy that plays, it's Vince Papale, when his father's talking to him and he says basically about doing it for the city.
Oh yeah.
Like, you know, that they don't have anything else to live for, kind of. It's kind of depressing, true. You know what I mean? But it's cool, right? That's the point. It's like people live and die by these teams.
Yes.
You know? And when you're that invested in it, you're the exact opposite of bandwagon type person. When I started, so it was, early 70s when I first became aware that I was a person alive, and I became an Eagles fan, right?
Okay. When you first gained sentience?
I'm just saying, when I first gained sentience, that's the point. Before it wasn't clear whether I understood anything or knew even that I was a person.
That's sentience, yes.
No, but in the very beginning there, like early 70s, the Eagles were not a good team, you know? So my early life as an Eagles fan, until Dick Vermeil, it was a bad team.
Yeah.
You know?
Did you, the whole Vince Papale stuff, you were like...
lived through.
were an active fan during all of that.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah.
I just watched Invincible like 2 weeks ago, and I teared up because it's such a great movie. And I was man.
It's awesome. Now
okay. Anyway, so what we're going to talk about, though, which we can talk about like Philadelphia sports in general and all more and all that stuff. But more specifically, we'll start with the Eagles since we're on this little kick right now.
Right.
We're recording this. It's Monday today. This will drop tomorrow. Yesterday, we beat the Jaguars. Barely. Okay.
Yeah.
And so the way I feel about the Eagles, and you and I talked about this already, right now, is I wish that we would lose every game for the rest of the season, because then I think that, and you didn't say that, I said that, because
I get it,
that we might actually see some much needed changes. It was really frustrating the end of last season watching us completely collapse, and then watching after every game all of the players saying, we know what we need to do. We know what we need to do, and it's going to get better. And then it didn't. And then also, after all of those, having the press conference with Nick, where he just kept saying, I'm the coach. The blame falls back to me.
Right.
Don't put it on them. Put it on me. All right, it's on you.
Right.
Now what? Now what are you going to do? And so the way I feel about it is, I really liked Nick at first. I thought he was great for the city, great vibes. Now I think he's doing too much and not enough. And I think he needs to go, and I think Hurts needs to go. I don't think Hurts is good under pressure. When I'm watching games with you, I'm counting the seconds in real time that he's holding the ball. Every time he gets sacked, I'm like, well, you were holding the ball for 7 seconds. What did you think was going to happen? What did you think? He needs to go. They need to go.
Here's the thing. I'll say this, and I know.
And I miss Jason Kelsey.
Well, earlier, yeah, big time. When you look when we're running and I'll say it, brotherly shove, because I hate when they call it the tush push.
Yeah, it's the brotherly shove.
It's so annoying.
So stupid.
Anyway, it's not nearly as successful as it was, and that's the one difference. When you get right down to it, that's the difference.
Jason,
yeah. But earlier, I'm not completely negative on Sirianni yet. I'm not happy, but like, obviously you're not going to get rid of someone when your team has won. What is it? The last 4 games I think we've won now. This is the difference though between Philadelphia fans and most other fans. It's like, well, we won 4 games. Why are you upset?
It's not good enough.
Well, that's not how it works. It's not just about the wins and losses. It's about, are you improving as a team? Are you doing things that make sense? I did not like yesterday how I like in general being aggressive, but yesterday he just was over the top.
Oh yeah,
just doing dumb things. It's one thing to be aggressive. It's another thing to just go too far and just things that are just risky. And I'm not going to go as far to say as we were lucky to win the game, because obviously, an interception in the end zone, obviously that was a nice play, right? I'm not going to take that away from anybody, but we came very close to losing that game. And it's a game that we never should have.
No, it shouldn't have been that close, but also we need to obviously mention Barkley's reverse.
Oh, yeah, the run.
Oh my gosh, that was insane.
Yeah, because he had numerous really good
that was nuts.
moves on that.
I think where Sirianni lost me, obviously I was annoyed with him at the end of last year, as I said. Where he lost me this year was, who was it? The Bears that we played, or the Browns, or I think it was the Bears.
I think it was the Bears.
The Bears, right? Where at the end of the game, he turns around and he's like yelling at the fans that were taunting him, like during the game.
I don't remember that.
Whatever, whoever it was, I don't remember. And he's like yelling at them because we won, and they were like making fun of him during the game and stuff, and they weren't happy. But it was the same thing. It was a game that we were lucky to have won.
Yep. Every game I think maybe except 1, 2 at the most, almost every game we won last year was lucky.
Oh yeah.
We didn't play well.
They kept saying in post-game conferences, you kept hearing the players and the coaches say, we just find a way to win. I don't know. We just find a way somehow until they didn't.
Yeah.
And then that was it. And it's like, well, that's also not good though. That can't be your game strategy.
And of course, right, exactly. And of course, when didn't they? At the end of the season and then in the playoffs. Yep.
Yeah. But so Sirianni lost me there because it was like, this, first of all, is not a high stakes game for argument's sake.
Mm-hmm.
And then second of all, this is not a team that you should be like,
competitive.
No,
or
I'm saying the one that he
point?
was taunting the fans.
Oh,
I'm saying like this is not a team that you should be like, yeah, we beat them. Like take that.
Yeah,
it's
you
like,
shouldn't be happy.
We should have beaten them.
Right, you should be mad. You should be mad at yourself.
Yeah, and I just never see that. I just never see that. He'll say out loud like, "Well, I'm the coach, and this falls back on me." But then I just never see any like action.
Well, here's the thing. Because I'm trying to look at this point anyway. Look at the positive. I think on both sides of the ball, we've improved. Well, we've improved a lot since the end of last year. A lot. Okay. Mm-hmm. So I think the change, like with the offensive and defensive coordinator, obviously is still very, they're only a few games into their tenure. But I think for the most part, I like what I'm seeing there. The main thing I'm not happy about is some of the play calling. Right.
Oh, yeah.
And now I think, especially on these, going for an extra point, 1 or 2, are we always going to go on fourth down?
Yesterday.
I think Sirianni's still making that call, right? I don't think it's the offensive coordinator that's making that call. So that's the main thing that I'm not happy about at this point. Like I said, I love aggressiveness, but not
like that.
No, you're shooting yourself in the foot.
The second team I want to talk about, and I want to spend very little time on this because I think, okay, let's just very quickly gloss over the Flyers because they're just a mess and always disappointing. And I watch the games. I mean, if you go on the scale of like my interest in the sports teams, they're the lowest.
That's the way it is for me.
Regardless, I still watch the games and I still am disappointed every time. And I just don't see a lot of positives with them. So I'm never like super.
Right.
I support them, obviously. I hope they do well, but I just always feel like they're disappointing. So if you do have anything else to say about the Flyers.
No, it's the same for me, right? They're sort of my fourth in the hierarchy. At times I'll follow them. I haven't watched the game yet this year, so I can't even, I know they're not doing well. But no, so I can't really,
okay.
So I'm not going to say.
So just moving over that.
Yep.
We're not going to talk about the Union because I know you don't like soccer and they also don't do well. Or didn't do. Anyway, whatever. Anyway, gloss over them. We still love them, but glossing over. So we're going to talk about the Phillies last, but because they broke my heart. But we're going to talk about them last. But going to the Sixers, I am sick of trusting the process. I have no trust because there is no process.
Yep.
And if they could stop using that as their tagline on their social media accounts when we win a game, that would be fantastic.
Yep.
Because the process doesn't exist.
Become a joke. It's become a joke.
That's what I'm saying. The process doesn't exist.
That can last for maybe 3 years, right, while you're rebuilding.
Mm-hmm.
If by the end of that third year, and you have to be gradually improving, right? The first year, whatever, maybe you're not. Once you get, they've been using that same tagline for how long?
I know.
It's like it's a joke.
It loses all meaning after a certain point, and so that's really frustrating. I do think it's crazy. That did you see Embiid got because he hasn't been he has like the injury what?
No, I didn't. I'm thinking I should.
He has the injury. Oh, yeah, he has the injury and that the Sixers got fined $100K.
No, I didn't see that. I didn't see this.
They got fined $100K for I don't remember specifically if it was like lying about his injury or the extent of his injury or something.
Okay.
And
what's the point of it?
Well, what frustrates me is what other team have you heard about getting fined for something like this?
Right.
Why do people hate Philadelphia? That's where I'm going with this is like, I just feel like teams and not to, be this person, but as we're watching games and stuff, I say this all the time, commentators, like announcers, if they're not Philly commentators or announcers, they hate us.
Yeah.
And it is so clear that they would love for the other team to win.
Yep.
And this is not me. Listen to any single Philadelphia sports
But you have to
team
do it in
game-
an unbiased way. You have to be a legit unbiased person who doesn't already hate Philly.
Well, that's true, which is very difficult, right? Anyway, I don't have much to say about the Sixers at this point.
Well,
besides, I'm annoyed about the process thing. Embiid needs a better attitude, and I think he needs to be in better shape because he always.
Here's the thing. Well, yeah, I mean he's always had
But the
injuries and stuff.
are, yeah.
But here's the thing for me.
Maxey's doing great.
So for a long time, it's been like, okay, the Eagles were my number one team.
Yeah.
Then, and this is more recently, but then the Sixers.
Yeah.
And then, like, say, the Phillies and the Flyers last.
Mm-hmm.
I'm to a point where I'm just so frustrated with the Sixers that I don't know. It's the same thing. And I said a couple years ago, I don't know if Embiid is ever if we're gonna go anywhere with Embiid.
Yeah.
Right. Like I was frustrated when we didn't keep Jimmy Butler because he's a winner.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's what he is, right?
Mm-hmm.
I just liked him, and instead we kept
see, you're
doing the same thing. Gotta look
Harris?
it up. Yes, Tobias Harris. Okay.
Yeah, you hated him.
I didn't hate him, but I thought
Yes, you did.
In comparison, I'm like, I can't believe we're keeping Tobias Harris over Jimmy Butler.
Yeah.
Like seriously, he's the kind of guy. He's like a big play kind of player.
Yeah.
Key points in the game. And you could just see that he hates losing.
Yeah.
First of all, I don't see that in Embiid.
No.
I don't see that in Embiid. I think Maxey is a great player, right? But right now, I feel like we have it's just sort of like a hodgepodge. We have some good players in there, but we don't have what you need to win.
Which is why when they say trust the process, not only has it lost its meaning at this point, but it's like, you want me to look at this team that we have right now and trust what? Yeah. What are you doing?
It's hard to get excited about.
That's what I'm saying.
It's hard to get excited about kind of like the same thing year after year. I mean, we've gone through like a number of coaches now, and it's like we're not going
I do like
anywhere.
Nick Nurse. I mean,
I do. I don't have an issue with him at this point. So maybe it's more like the back office and it's just the roster. I'm not crazy about it.
You know who does get angry when he loses though?
Who's that?
It's Bryce Harper. So let's talk about the Phillies.
Yep,
okay?
let's do that.
The love of my life.
Yeah.
In all ways, because they break my heart constantly. Okay.
Yep.
Phillies for me are my number one. I don't know when this happened. A couple of years ago, I really got into them, and
and I've been the last couple of years because of you mostly. I started following them again, and I've been following them really closely too, obviously.
And I think obviously the last few years we have been good, which makes it easier to watch the games.
Right.
Still, I'm complaining the whole time. I mean, halfway through this season, if you'll recall, we had like the best record and all that stuff, and I said
we were over 700 winning percentage.
Yeah.
We were like.
And I said, I think we have a lot of good stuff going on. The two things that concern me are that we consistently leave too many runners in scoring position, and I don't think our bullpen is good enough. Those were my two main things. And what killed us in the postseason? Those two things. Okay?
Yeah. Well,
arguably. All right.
Yeah.
And the other thing that concerns me is you look at the progression that we've made over the past few years, because where are we? 21? We went to the World Series, lose the World Series. Or no, 22.
It was 2 years ago, right?
Well,
yeah, it was 2 years ago.
Yeah, because you're considering the end of this year.
That's what I'm saying.
Still.
Right?
Okay, so
it wasn't
2 years
this year.
ago,
It wasn't the year
saying.
before. It was the year before that.
So 22 was we go to the World Series, lose the World Series. 23, we lose the NLDS.
Right.
And then this year
we're going in the exact
we're going in the wrong direction.
See, to me, the number one problem, I think, and I agree with what you said.
We need
running
contact
on base.
hitters.
What's another way to put it? Right. We need contact. We don't need any more power hitters.
No.
Right. We need solid contact hitters. We have enough like free swingers.
Yeah.
And we need to play better situational baseball.
Yeah.
We need to, if you start an inning with a guy on second base, you should always score.
Mm-hmm.
You got to be able to, if you, depending on who's up, if you want to bunt to move the guy over to third, And then you should be able to hit a fly ball to knock the guy in.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? To knock the run in. We don't do a good job with that. To me, that's I think the biggest thing. So I think we just need somebody who's.
I think Stott does a good job with that. But as far
this year, he didn't have a great season.
In general, though, I think he's a good situational hitter.
Yeah.
Whereas, no offense to and Bryce, I think Bryce knows when he needs to do stuff.
Yeah.
I think that's the problem is a lot of our lineup and JT when he's hitting well is good at situational hitting.
He's a little bit streaky, but not.
But when he's hitting well, I mean, he knows how to situationally hit.
Yeah.
He's not swinging for the fences.
Yeah.
When he shouldn't be.
Yeah.
But then you have Schwarber, Turner, Castellanos.
Bum got cool at the end of the year, but the first half of the year he was.
No, he was.
Really
but my
good.
point is, I don't really ever see them following the ball and letting the ball go where it wants to go.
Right. Wayne,
I always see them swinging for the fences when they don't need to.
Yeah, they're trying to pull it.
And I had said this to you right before the last game that we lost to the Mets. That if I were the hitting coach, which we kept our whole coaching staff, did I tell you that? I don't remember if I told you that Thompson said the whole coaching staff is coming back, which, that's fine and everything. But if I'm the hitting coach, whose name escapes me at the moment, before that last game, which shouldn't have been our last game, instead of going to batting practice, I would have had a compilation for every single player that would have been at least an hour long. It could have been longer, I'm sure. For each player specifically, showing every time they swung at a ball. And not a close ball, a ball that was low and away,
outside.
In the dirt, inside. So that you can see, so that you have to sit in a room and for an hour, you don't have any distractions, you don't have your phone, you don't have anything. You have to sit there and watch how dumb you look.
Yeah, exactly.
Going for the same pitch over and over again. You don't need help with your swing. Your swing is fine.
Right.
It's when you're swinging a crap like that.
Right.
That's the issue.
And you know what? To me, one of the main things that causes that is because you are swinging for the fences.
Well, yeah.
Because before that ball is even thrown, you're going to swing at it.
Yeah.
You're thinking, I'm going to swing at this pitch. And it's you're right. The worst ones probably are the ones that are low and outside where you have people that they could have a 6-foot bat and they wouldn't be able to reach them, right?
Yeah. That's
Those,
so painful.
the ones that are kind of inside and in the dirt where it's you're like a golfer, right? Or the ones that are high and inside where it's if you don't hit it, the ball's going to hit you, right?
Yep.
They're the ones that look really bad. So I think we need guys who are just better contact hitters and better, this is obviously going back before your time, but Pete Rose type hitters.
Yeah.
To anybody that's old enough to remember Pete Rose, that was him. And the thing is, you can, if depending on the situation, if you want to swing for the fences and you don't have any strikes, or even if you have one strike, that's fine. When you get 2 strikes, okay, you should be changing your swing, maybe choke up on the bat a little bit. You should be just looking to hit the ball where it is, you said, right?
Yeah.
Just contact. And that is what we are, as
so
a team,
bad.
we're horrible.
And I think, and I told you this, I was listening to the Phillies, I think it's called the Phillies Backstage podcast, and they were talking about Chase Utley the one time, and about how Chase Utley would spend hours of his own time, hours in the video room, looking at whoever they were going to be up against in the next series, looking at all of their pitchers to see where they released each of their pitches. He would spend hours doing this. And that's why he was good. That's why he was a good hitter. And that's something that anyone could do. And it frustrates me that, and I'm not saying I don't know what these guys are doing. Maybe some of them are doing this and that's why they're doing well or whatever. I'm not saying that. But it's frustrating. It's just really frustrating having to watch the same thing over and over.
Right.
But I do, in general, the lineup that we have, some changes could be made, but I like our lineup. I think all of our guys they're good players, and I think they care, and that's really important. And I think you can also see that they're having fun, which I think is important too. And I love, that's why I said at the beginning when Bryce Harper, you can see he's so mad about things, especially when he knows that he should be the one delivering. Like you can just see that he cares so much. And then the comments that he has made about, I mean, how he listens to like the radio, and when he was coming in the one game and he was like, well, who was it? Chuck or someone? He was like, Chuck was talking to me and like saying that he wanted me to hit a home run. So I just hit a home run for Chuck today and all that stuff. I think that's so
awesome.
cool.
I know it's awesome. You know, I said this to you before, but it's weird though, because Bryce Harper, he I don't know what it was, but it seemed like his attitude changed from the first half of the year to the second half of the year. And by attitude, I just mean he just looked like he wasn't having fun.
Not as much, maybe.
Yeah. So I don't know. Maybe because they had a new baby, I think maybe he wasn't getting as much sleep. I don't know. Could be a lot of things.
Anyway, but we love having Bryce in Philly because he cares and he loves Philly. Yeah. And he had said he wished he spent his whole career here. He loves Philly. He's
the kind of player the Philadelphia fans love. Yeah. Right. Because and something else we didn't bring up, but because they can see he really cares. He's putting the work in. It bothers him. In fact, there was the one hit he had near the end of the season where he thought it was going to be a home run. And he wasn't running hard the whole time. And I think he still got to second.
I was going to say, I think it was a double still.
But it was a huge play.
Actually, it might have been a long single.
And maybe it was. He was mad at himself afterward. And because I think reporters had asked Rob Thompson about it, and he said Bryce already had said something to him. Like he apologized to him that he was mad about it. So that's one thing.
Yeah,
the other thing is, if you remember, and this was last year, but when Trey Turner was in a horrible slump, right?
I was just going to say that.
Right. There was that game where the fans, and this was after he was like 0 for, I don't remember what it was. His average was way down.
Yep.
And they give him a standing ovation.
I'm getting chills.
And that literally like ignited. Then he got hot after that.
He did.
And here's the point.
And then do you remember he bought out some billboards around Philly saying thank you.
Yeah. And to me, so that's the point, right?
Yeah.
It's like, okay, it's almost, this is maybe not a good example, but it's almost like if you have parents that are really hard on you, right? Because they have high expectations, and you can relate to this.
Hitting too close to home. I'm triggered.
Okay, yeah.
No, thank you.
But then they really encourage, and you know,
I hate this
they
analogy.
They love you.
But
anyway,
now that you're saying it like this, I feel like that's when we'll wrap it up here. I feel like that's the issue with the Sixers. I don't feel that. I don't feel that pride for the city or for the team in general. Nope. I just don't get that vibe at all. And I think that's a big part of the reason that the process is not working. Yeah. Because it's just, I don't feel it. Maybe it's there, but I don't see it.
Yep.
But I love the Phillies. And God, I love the Phillies. But Philadelphia sports teams and fans, we know what we're talking about and we care. And that's why we throw snowballs at fake Santas. And that's it.
And if you're not throwing snowballs at fake Santas, you're the problem.
You're not a real fan.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Go home,
so,
get out. Yeah. And we boo to make it clear, you know, because Bryce also made the comment really quick about people hate playing and other people have said this, they hate playing in Philadelphia because of the fans. Good. Yeah. We're doing our job. Yep. We boo our own teams more than we boo other teams.
Oh, yeah.
Because we hold our teams to such a high standard.
Yeah.
And so I think we are the best fans.
Yep.
I'm biased. I think we're the best.
And when players come back, players that have been at Philly and were loved in Philly, and then they come back, very often we cheer for them.
Oh,
right?
that's true. Reese, when Reese came back, I'm going to cry. I wish we had
exactly.
Reese.
And the thing is, you know, now if it's a key point in the game, are we maybe going to, you know, boo? It's almost like, I don't say joking around, but like obviously you want the Phillies to win.
Yeah.
But at the same time, the fans know what kind of a player he was, and they still love him.
Yeah. Also, really quickly, just mentioning when what's his name? Who was it? The pitcher. This was last year. The pitcher with was it the one with the mustache that I said he looks like he's 40, but he was only like.
Oh, you're talking about the Braves.
Strider?
The Braves.
Was it Spencer Strider?
Yeah.
When he was like, I don't know, man. It's just like really loud, and I liked COVID when there were no fans, and then the next game when he was pitching, they were so loud, and they had signs, and they were like, "Is it too loud for you, Strider?" And it was like a whole thing. That was phenomenal.
Well, that's the point, and that's how you know they're real fans.
I know.
You know, they are engaged.
Yeah. Go visit the city of brotherly love. Go to a game.
Do it. Take in the historical sites and everything.
There's so much. You can walk the path that Ben Franklin walked to work every day.
Think about that.
Oh. Okay. That's it.
You're tearing up again.
I know.
Okay.
Okay. So I also, really quickly, the Eagles to put a nice little bow on this Santa Claus.
Yeah.
The Eagles did gift Olivo football-shaped cufflinks and a tie tack as a gift in appreciation of his services, which was super nice, obviously. And the incident, this did not even immediately gain national attention until it was mentioned by Howard Cosell on the ABC.
Howard Cosell. He was like a famous.
Yeah.
He's the guy that did the Muhammad Ali fights and stuff.
On the ABC Weekend Report, with the incident being featured in lieu of game highlights. The next year, the Eagles offered Olivo a chance to be Santa Claus once again in the team's Christmas pageant, but he declined.
Yeah. Okay.
But, okay, so the incident...
For fear of his life.
No, but so the whole point of this, the incident, yeah, right. The incident is often used by the media as an example of the negative image surrounding Philadelphia sports fans. CBS Sports used the Santa Claus incident as an example for why Philadelphia sports fans are, quote, the absolute worst. ESPN said that with the incident... quote, a city cemented its reputation as the harshest place in sports, and it will go down as a staple of Philadelphia history. SB Nation has said that, quote, Philadelphia fans throwing snowballs at Santa Claus is a topic that can come up during any Eagles broadcast and maybe even other professional Philly sports games, too. Some Eagles fans, though, including you and I, and most of the people I know, view the incident in an illustrious light as an example of the city's no-nonsense attitude about sports.
Absolutely. It's a badge of honor.
It is. And Olivo said years later, quote, it happened years ago, time to move on. It went away for a while. But every now and then you hear some guy on TV who only knows Philly for the cheesesteaks and the Liberty Bell talk about the time fans threw snowballs at Santa.
Yep.
It was cool to hear it back then when it went national. And Howard Cosell, is that? Cosell is saying your name on TV. But today when you hear it, it's like, shut up already. Yeah. This is from Santa who got pelted himself. He doesn't care.
Oh, he said that.
He said that.
Oh, that's cool.
And that's what I'm saying.
He's not actually the real Santa.
Anyway, no, he's not. But also, during the 2022 National League Championship Series, a fan dressed as Santa Claus attended Games 4 and 5 at Citizens Bank Park in Philadelphia. When shown on the Jumbotron, he was greeted with cheers.
Yeah, there you go.
All right? So everybody chill out about the whole Santa Claus thing. Just shut up, as Olivo himself, as Santa Claus himself said.
Yeah.
Okay, bye. Okay. Should there be a disclaimer on this episode that if you're like under a certain age, you shouldn't listen? Because we're saying that Santa's not real.
What?
What do you mean?
I just made the point that this is not the real Santa Claus. I said nothing about Santa Claus not being real.
Well, I just did. So anyway.